Welcome to From the Desk of the Executive Director. We are not at my desk. Again, thank you. I'm so happy to be away from my desk. We are here on location at our new build with two of our construction women, construction girls, women? Okay,
You can call us girls.
Now, in Mississippi, we call women ladies.
Okay.
It's a little odd, but
Okay.
construction ladies are women, right? And we're here on location at our Gaston Point new build. And you are from the great state of Illinois, near Chicagoland, kind of a suburb of Chicago, right? Can't remember, is it north, south, east, west
It's
suburb?
a northwest suburb.
Oh, I guess you can't, if you end up being an east suburb, you'd be in the water. That wouldn't work.
Kind of.
Okay, great. So they're from a UCC church up there, and I just want to ask them a few questions. So what motivated you come down? This isn't your first time.
This is my first time.
Oh, it is your first time?
Yes.
Nope, it's not my first
Okay.
time.
So what motivated you come down to do this work?
I have heard, with people coming back, I have heard that it's just a wonderful mission. I've been on mission trips before. This is not my first mission trip. But this is the first adult mission trip that I have been on, and first one that's really based in a whole community, a mission community. Before I would just go to places with youth and we'd kind of go town to town and just work. But this is like a community, and I really wanted to experience what that felt like. And it's been such a different, wonderful, not only the building, but when the people from the beginning to the end, I love the concept that not only you build homes for them, you don't just give them a home and say, here you go. You walk them through the whole process. What does it feel like to be a homeowner? How do you do the finances? What goes in the refrigerator? How do you sleep on a bed? That just pork that some guests need to know how to sleep on a bed. They're not used to that. And just stay with them through the whole process. And so I'm just so impressed with the holistic kind of approach to this program. So I'm glad I experienced this.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think that's what's somewhat unique, is that we will walk with this person, right, and give them the skills they need to develop it, how to take care of a home, how to use the dishwasher, how to use the air conditioning, right, all that especially folks here, because this home will be a home for somebody who's living in poverty. And when you live in poverty, you don't always know, right? It hasn't been passed on, especially if you grew up in kind of ancestral poverty or family poverty. You don't know, right? What you don't know. And so part of it is giving people the skills they need, the life skills they need to be really successful at home for many, many years to come.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what brought you back then?
Well, I love hanging out, first of all, with the people, from our church.
Yeah.
They really have a heart for serving.
Yeah.
So I want to be part of that too. And I think the other thing we were talking the other day about, why don't you just give them money and not, you don't have to show up for anything because then
You have to dirty these clothes.
Yeah,
mess
that's right.
yourselves
Why
up,
did that?
Sweat. Yeah.
It's good to be immersed in what the experience of what the homes are going through, even the staff and what they're doing. So I'm not one to go out of my comfort zone very much, but I almost had to talk myself into it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because you folks, when you come down, how many times have you been down here?
Just it's my second time.
When you come down, you really encourage us, because you folks have a heart for equity and justice. You're down here doing the sweat equity, right, and giving back in a way that we as human beings, I think, need to learn to give back. So it takes a community. We build a community. It takes a village, because we want to be the change we want to see in the world, and that's exactly what you're doing. You're being the change you want to see in the world.
Well, and we're so inspired by the work that Back Bay does, and all the people. Today we had a meeting, and I just said, how do you take care of yourselves after? How do you go home and leave? This morning I worked at the day center, and I know one woman there is going to haunt me tonight, because she is going to sleep out on the streets, and she's never done that before.
Oh,
and it's going to haunt me tonight, and I'm going to be thinking about her. And it's good for me to feel, like Shelby said, to be immersed in it, to really feel it. And then I just admire you all who do it every day and have to leave it, because the system isn't going to work if you start giving things. I just wanted to give her money and say, go, stay in a hotel. But I know that's not the way the system works, nor should it. It's not fair to, to anybody. But how you do it day after day, and be the hope for these people, and be the community for these people.
Well, and that's that. I just came from a meeting with the Gulf Coast Community Foundation, thus the suit jacket, and that was one thing we were talking with them. We need an overnight shelter. We have our day shelter, but we need an overnight shelter. We need people to say yes in my backyard, yes in my neighborhood, right? To be the kind of community we need to be to support these folks, because we don't want to see people sleeping on the streets. If it's her first time, that's terrible, right? And women especially are, it's really dangerous for women on the streets. Very vulnerable. And so I appreciate that you recognize that. Tomorrow you'll hear from some more of our staff, that will share. Too bad you aren't here when our new community health workers are here, but they're up at a conference up in Jackson where I was yesterday, and they have to be there all week. But they're going to be doing some of this hard work of connecting people with the needs that they have, especially around their health, mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, physical health. Right? How do we connect them and get them taken care of so they can live the best life possible?
And also done with such respect to the guests. I love such respect to the guests. And then it just gives them hope. It gives them, a lifeline.
Yeah, and it is community. The interesting thing you mentioned about when people move into a home or they move into an apartment, if they've been on the streets, they miss the community that they have, right? Because they do care about each other.
They do. I saw one man in the day center today help a man who was partially blind. Did everything for this man, and I thought, that man's getting nothing for it in return. And I just turned to him and I said, this is just amazing that, this is a guy who has nothing, but he's still going to give,
Right.
So I think it models what we need to be like, even to the guests, even to the guests. So.
Right, that we have the opportunity to be community, to be family, to care for people, and to be human, and to be divine, right? To be the hands and feet of Jesus to these people, which to me is phenomenal. And I can miss sight of that sometimes in my days as an executive director. So when you're all here and you're UCC folks, and you have that heart for equity and justice, it encourages all of us, and that's so incredible.
Well, we just appreciate everything. We're glad to be here. We're glad that thank you for being who you are, and we'll be back.
Good. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. And how long of a trip is it for you? Did you fly or drive?
We drove. 13 hours, 14 hours.
That's a commitment.
It's a commitment.
It's a long drive.
I can't get out of the car and walk after 13 hours. I'm like, right? Yeah.
Well,
we have fun. We do.
We do have fun. We make sure that there has to be joy in it. If there's not joy in it, and if there's not joy in serving it, I'd love to hear the guests laugh and stuff. So there has to be. Life is life is life.
Well, when I first started out, after I was ordained, I did campus ministry. I was at University of Nebraska, and I used to take students to Mexico, to Haiti, to Tennessee, to third world places in our country and other places to do this kind of work to open their eyes, right? And I remember we'd take usually 2 vans packed with about 30 students and a couple of U-Hauls. It used to drive me crazy, but I loved it because the community that was built there, like your building community, is phenomenal, right? Sometimes we lose sight of that as adults. We go to college and then we get busy with our lives, right?
Yeah.
But when you do this kind of work, it changes.
Oh, it does. It really does.
And where's Long Beach Island?
Off the coast of New Jersey.
Oh, New Jersey. Gotcha. Okay, there is. That's right.
There you go.
Well, thank you very much for coming down here from the Chicagoland area and just being present with us and being fully present yourselves.
Well, thank you for doing what you do.
Awesome.
And you will be always in our prayers and in our hearts.
Thank you.
We'll be back.
And folks on the other side of the camera or other side of the computer, we welcome you to Back Bay Mission and just value and cherish these stories and do this work in your own community. Just give back. That's kind of, for us, the name of the game. So blessings to you. Thank you.